but I did, like John said, reach out to some historians to see if there was a proper way, you know, how we should open it or what we should do.
Well, Marilyn
yeah.
had 99%, he said in his documentations of all the ones he had been a part of, water damage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, you know, 120 years ago, they probably felt that this metal box would keep things great, you know, but
Yeah.
you can just see how,
It's fragile.
I'm gonna bring it around, how fragile it is and how, you know, we can just,
Cut yourself.
I won't bend it and,
Is your tetanus shot up to date?
Yeah.
yeah. And it is gonna, it is gonna fall apart. And when I sent pictures, then
What do you think it is? Cloth or paper?
Paper.
it's been tied, and I think it's, she said to find an edge that you could poke this in, but it's paper,
It's all big.
and there is some readable.
Oh, cool.
um, It wants to come apart right here, and so I'm thinking, and this is a news, you can see that it's newsprint,
Oh, yeah.
so I'm just gonna let it come apart there.
Yeah. Tabling something.
I say, hold that.
Now we're being infected with 1908 mold.
I know there was a reason, John, you said I could do that.
That's why he stood back.
And we'll turn this around.
Toxic things in that.
Oh, yeah, there's stuff on the back of it.
Don't forget that we have a large and complete stock of both riding and walking cultivators.
Oh, it's a paper. It's a Vindicator paper.
Well, yeah, it says
Yeah, VI.
Vindicator paper.
C.E. Fowler and Company, Beaconsfield, Iowa, ads. John M. Lee, plaster and paper hanger, satisfaction guaranteed.
Can you read any of this stuff?
Hayden and something Shea Barn west of Duffy had putting up the barn. Parties desiring wells, something 4 foot, Collar Right, Iowa. Live 1 mile north of town. The roof of C Horse Store and JW, it's not all there.
Yeah, and I don't know what this is either. Receivable?
Receivable,
It's got amounts and stuff like $1.
yeah.
Miscellaneous, first section of the old,
Time, religion, let's see.
yeah.
First section of the old time religion or New Testament Christianity, a new book for the 20th century. Mottos clear back to Pentecost by Reverend J.E. Irvine, Washington, D.C. And then they're talking about pamphlets.
This says Reverend Knoll spoke and encountered in buildings a bias of his remarks encountered by something, the walls of Jerusalem, ancient temples, his workmen, and we made his example. Imitate.
There always was a page in the paper that was a religious,
Just-
and it was articles that they brought in. It wasn't local things, it was always
from-
on that
yeah.
page.
That's what it looks right.
Yeah.
Newspapers back then were several pages, so
It's
that could have just been one edition.
just one page or one
Fold
paper.
it all up and
Yeah.
like that. See if you go into the internet and pull up the old Vindicators. Several pages.
Does it have anything on the back of it?
The back is just
Oh.
cardboard, so I think maybe there was a cardboard box wrapped.
Rattlesnake!
Small print.
Yeah, it's real small print.
She didn't jump, did she? She's
I don't think there's anything alive in here, let me tell ya.
now.
You would have felt that if she would have done
You
that.
flip it over. I don't know if the camera can read it.
She's dialed in.
Chapter 1, the epistles. Yeah, it's some kind of religious.
Little book that was in there, I don't
Yeah.
know.
A what?
It's like it looked like a cardboard book inside the paper maybe or something.
A prayer.
Devotional
yeah,
maybe
devotion.
or something. And the print's even smaller. I'm impressed that you can read it though.
Yeah, I am too.
Time capsule at the school.
But that's what it's been, it's,
And when you put it in, we put the stuff in. Yeah. But they haven't ever taken that out. As far as I know, they haven't.
that's what it is, and I don't know.
Where it starts and where it ends.
If they gave it to you. Yeah.
Sue, I was talking to Brenda this morning. She said, what year was there a Halloween thing? Did we do a time capsule? Did we do a time capsule?
That's what it is, it's been a book.
The centennial?
Yeah, we did for the centennial in
Okay,
'83,
that, okay.
and it's there in the housing.
I don't
in
think
there.
so.
Probably the book that's got all the answers for the church in
It
it.
was a piece of PC
Oh, done.
pipe,
Yeah, about that long.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's in that thing, and it's,
Right underneath the belt.
and it shouldn't be getting any moisture, I wouldn't think, but.
Did you set a time to open that ever?
Dawn was
Well,
talking about it.
I don't know whether it was supposed to go 100 years or
hard
to
50 or what, you know, it'll just depend on that thing knocked
Usually
down.
decided that was down there when they put it in there.
Yeah, everybody could put something in it.
Right.
I decided.
I think it's just scripture.
I think it's just
Be
been
directed.
a small Bible or devotional.
Well, they don't really know what
I don't think there's anything else.
Such a strong molten looking glass teaching us.
that's the only thing I can remember I put in there. I think was that something.
How soft is
I
They
figured
didn't
they
have
put-
any money left, they built that.
I
You know,
think
I
they
can,
should come up and say it. I can't imagine they didn't.
well, 10 cents was quite a bit, I imagine.
That problem with somebody's nails.
That lot of-
Yeah, you're right.
Well, I think, yeah, it had,
And I don't think you would have thought that a few coins was very important for something like this. This has been some kind of religious, you know.
Cause see, this is like the net offerings, I'm guessing, for the week, so like the Cincinnati something of early church, net 50 cents.
Yeah.
Sons New York, something on the book, Professor George Aaron, 225. From the Division of Hebrew, something Kent PhD, $1.
You might be able to look up that person's name.
Uh-huh.
You'd be surprised what
A
you can find on the
challenge
internet.
to Chicago 20th century something and Frank E.
And you can
J.
see where this
40
has
cents.
been the cover.
Okay, so-
And this is just a book.
Yeah,
There's nothing, and then this is the top part of that. So I think,
So who was the pastor, John, when they built this?
Board of Insurance.
What?
This is church to the general conference in
I told, we
1908.
told about it.
I know, I forgot.
Insurance.
It's in that little brochure you handed out to all of us with the art made. It's in there. So if you grab that from that day, it's in there.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
I was gonna bring mine from home today. We found it this morning and I didn't bring it.
There was one down here.
Was there? Yeah. Look in there and see if it's in there.
That looks like another book, doesn't it? Like it almost looks like the binding there. It says religion on the top, may ordain.
John, I just remember
This one.
that
That
your
says New
mom's
Testament, I think.
mother was it?
Yeah, my grandma.
Yeah.
Was the guest pianist
Pianist.
that day from,
Okay.
that other little church that they
Oh,
talk
councils of the
about.
state or
High Point,
rulers.
High
High
Point.
Point,
I
yeah.
wonder if it's like a book of doctrine or something.
If any of you haven't been down Wisher Chapel Road, and just where the old Don Huff farm was, just this side of it, there's a sign. It's still sitting there in the, we need to get the Historical Society to give us permission to paint it, but the sign is still there where the High Point Church was, the very first Methodist church in
It's
Greenville.
right there by that silent. Did you hear what that bell?
here we go.
Don Edelreed just sold that bell to come out of the high.
Historical,
Who sold it?
Don Edelreed
Sale.
sale.
They sold that at her sale?
Yeah, they just sold it.
Index.
I saw it advertised on the sale bell.
How did she get up with it, I wonder?
Well, Kitty bought it at the sale when they sold out the stuff in the church, I suppose. But, yeah, 'cause I was kinda surprised. I
Or
didn't
book of
think about it.
discipline, thus
But it was
gradually
advertised
something.
like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that one's book of discipline.
What do we do with this number?
What do we do with it? If it's that shape, I don't know.
It'd be neat if we could find a book of discipline from that year.
Maybe take a lot of pictures and
Yeah.
salvage it that way, a few pictures, because it doesn't look like there's a lot of salvageable stuff
Found
there.
it stuff here.
doctrines,
Yeah, keep a good page.
discipline of the
Glass.
Methodist Episcopal
That's a
Church.
Episcopal.
That's what we were when we back then.
Perfect for Reformation Sunday.
Bishop Andrews.
Bishop Andrews.
Marilyn, you should take your camera and take a picture of everybody that was here for the opening of the.
Yes, I love this.
What you say it said, Book of Discipline, what?
Bishop Andrews, if you wanna Google Bishop Andrews.
How that would go.
Should have put it in Tupperware.
They should have, shouldn't they?
They only have Tupperware back then.
Ziploc bag.
Right.
What were they thinking?
Yeah.
Second book of discipline.
Oh,
Must not have had a Tupperware salesman.
you didn't have Tupperware parties back then?
Should I click on Reformation history?
That cement will change
It will. We
temperature
were
so
just
much.
talking about that.
Yeah.
Like that day it got, he said it was 89 in Leon.
Maybe they.
First and second
We all saw
one?
stuff sweating.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I think it about needs to be
Picture of
something, you put in a lot of maybe rice or something
Anything
that
like it?
absorbs that back and forth a little bit, pack it with some, they have next, in the packing place and have stuff.
True
Put it,
covenant.
Desiccant or whatever we call it.
First thing.
Yeah, you don't know, put a diaper in there, see how long it lasts.
Did I spell it, or did I do it right? What's that, the doctrine is discipline of
And I don't know whether,
or maybe I don't think that's
There is,
right.
I kind of looked at some of that, and they had some directions for the future. It talks about stainless steel being probably the number one.
Spirit of primitive Christianity, some in different times and different.
How you doing?
The kingdom of Christ now is embodied in a new form.
I mean, a value, but different
some
things.
things may have been in plastic bags. Did you know
Acme
that?
harvesting machine, binders, mowers, and rakes, binding twine of best quality, 10.5C. Dane hay loaders, we've got the goods, Nelson and Nelson.
We got the goods.
Got the goods.
Here's the historical.
Madison phonographs and records.
There's the historical
Statement.
statement. The doctrine and spirit of primitive Christianity have existed at different times and in different degrees in all branches of the kingdom of Christ among men. They were embodied in a new form on this wise. In 1729, two young men in England reading the Bible saw they could not be saved without holiness, followed after it, and incited others to do so. In 1737, they saw likewise that men are justified before they are sanctified, but still holiness was their object. God then thrust them out to raise a holy people. This was the rise of Methodism, as given in the words of its founders, John and Charles Wesley of Oxford University and Presbyters of Church of England. Their evangelical labors were accompanied by extraordinary divine influence. Other ministers and many lay preachers were raised up to aid them throughout England and in Scotland and Ireland. And then it gets pretty bad.
This is,
Read that much.
I know.
this is interesting. The last Sabbath services. Concluding exercises held in Old Methodist Episcopal Church as an historical sketch. The last Sabbath services to be held in the Old Methodist Church were conducted last Sabbath, beginning with the Sabbath school at 10 a.m. The attendance was very good at the first service and continued throughout the exercises of the day. At the 11 o'clock service, the pastor presided and O.C. House read the following historical account. As late as the year 1870, there were only two classes in the neighborhood, one 6 miles west called Mount Zion, a small congregation, and they held services in a small building, perhaps 18 by 20 with slab seats. The other was 2 1/4 miles northwest of Cornwall Chapel, and there were but 4 Methodists in the neighborhood, and 3 of these now live in Tingley. They are over 74 years of age and are Mr. and Mrs. E. Atwood and Mrs. E. Martin. The Tingley class was organized in 1877, possibly in late fall or early winter, by Reverend Charles H. Burley. Atwood was elected steward and has served in that capacity since continuously from that time until short time ago. Up in the newspaper.
There you go. You can read some more if you want.
Is the top of the page there where it would have the date or the date on the paper?
I'm looking, but I'm not seeing it. This looks to me like it's the bottom half. So
Well, there
the
was
top
Bur-
half may be.
There was Burley's in Tingley back in my childhood.
There's more on
Spelled
this one
different,
too.
Burleigh or something like that.
As near as we remember, the class at that time was composed of the following persons. MESSRS, and MESDAM, Misters and McDame, or Miss Dames. E. Atwood, M. Smith, J.W. Stafford, W.W. Willie, Miss Dames A. Pollock, and Lucy Foster. Mrs. Mary Smith, Mrs. J.E. and J.J. Atwood, Link Smith, Link Willie, many of whom have now gone to reap the reward for their faithfulness in the better land. The class was organized in Old Center Schoolhouse, and services were held there until the old Christian church was built in 1883, when by their kind invitation, we held services in their building during the winter of 81 and 82. At this time, we began to long for a home of our own and began to cast about for ways and means. You must remember that this was more of an, we may not have that part.
Undertaking?
Yeah, it under something that the families were with cash, but were something. The trustees at that time, Lexi Howland, H. Breckenridge, O. White, and O. C. House, secured the lot by donation from the town site company and went to work, and by the noble assistance of the members and friends, the present building was completed at a cost of about $1,600. The only remaining members at that time of dedication are Mrs. and Mr. E. Atwood, J.W. Staff, and Breckenridge again, Hugh Breckenridge, O.C. House, Tingley Circuit at this time, composed of the following: Charge, Tingley, High Point, Wishart Chapel, and what is now called Cornwall Chapel, but the circuit being so something so lonely and in inclement weather, it was sometimes impossible for the pastor to reach some of the appointments. It was deemed expedient to divide this circuit, thus make shortcut drives, and giving us at this place public preaching both morning and evening, where before we only had preaching every other Sunday. The circuit as it is now stands as composed of but 3 pieces via Tingley, Wishart, and Cornwall chapels. While the class has never had a phenomenal growth, still since its organization, it has a steady increase in membership, and till now we have about 180 members in all. A list of pastors from organizations up to and including the present time with their terms of service, and then they've listed some names.
The H. Breckenridge was probably Hugh Breckenridge, who would have been
Who?
old Bill Breckenridge's father.
Father? Okay,
Yeah.
we were wondering who Dave
Yeah.
Breckenridge would be.
Because there was another Hugh Breckenridge later on.
And then they have that's about all I can read at this time on that history. But it may be that we will be able to preserve that and put it in a shadow box or something like that. Because it's kind of I read it.
Talks about the rites and ceremonies of churches. It's not necessary that the rites and ceremonies should in all places be the same or exactly alike, for they have always been different and may be changed according to the diversity of countries, time, and men's manners, so that nothing be ordained against God's word, whoever through, I might be off, his private judgment willingly, purposely, rites and ceremonies of the church to which he belongs are not something ordained and approved, but that's kind of neat that it talks about that it may change over time.
Then they go into this next page of the newspaper has personals. Perhaps your name or your friend's name is not mentioned in these personals. If so, it may be you did not tell us of the fact. We want all personal notices we can secure for you and your friends. Will you aid us by calling and telling us the news or phoning it to us, Ed? So they wanted the personal information to come in. Mrs. E.F. Freeman is ill with the mumps. Theus Bennett was a pleasant caller Friday. Rex Lawhead returned Thursday from Burlington. Ed Sherwood of Elston was a Tingley visitor Friday. H.E. Weld of Liberty Township was a caller Tuesday. Albert Allen of Blanchard, Iowa came Friday for a visit of the John Cole home. Fred Heyer returned Tuesday from a few days' business visit at St. Joseph, Missouri.
That was Claire Hires.
J.W. Asbury went Tuesday to Winterset where he expects to engage in business. T.M. McGee and daughter Miss Gertrude are expected today from Sterling, Kansas, where they have been for several months. Mrs. McKee and daughter Miss Twyla will come later.
That Burley was the editor, or the owner of the paper back, I think it was probably back then. That C.E. Bennett would have been Charles Finn Bennett's father. So then you remember him.
Well, we can just carefully try to take this apart, maybe